muskrat. It's swimming. Oh, yeah, there we go. In my backing.
This is the TFC. This is the TFC.
This is the TFC Riffles and Rants podcast.
I don't want to say anything or look at you weird. He just got done chastising me. He said that I looked at him weird.
I wasn't chastising
You said I looked weird.
Maybe it's just because you got on a weird green shirt.
I don't understand.
It's just not green. It's not blue. It's not.
It's green.
It's the weirdest combination of blue, green, and gray that I've ever seen.
So it's basically like no color.
It's not even. I think it's a color we're not supposed to see on the spectrum or something.
You're on the spectrum. That's why you don't like it.
That's terrible. You're going to offend our viewers.
I hope I didn't offend anybody. I apologize.
What's up, guys? This is the episode 10 of Riffles and Rants podcast with TFC. Welcome back.
We're glad to have you. Thanks for tuning in. All 7 of you. We appreciate you.
What are we talking about today?
Okay. Now, before you start, I'm blindsiding you with something.
I love that.
Yeah. You're going to get hit with this right now.
Okay.
Okay. So, real fishing thing. So, I saw this on a post. So, I'm going to ask you this, okay? If someone asked you this question, how would you respond? So, it's a real question. This is my first full year of fly fishing, first winter season. I picked up a rod in April, blah, blah, blah. Let me get to it. I'm hooked. I'm running into somewhat of a plateau, and it's been driving me crazy. Since January, I've been in various sections of the South Platte whenever weather permits, and I have one fish to show for it, so that's a struggle. I know that winter fishing, if you can even consider this year a winter, blah, blah, blah. In the right conditions, I can catch fish in less pressured places, so it is not a complete tragedy. It has to be something to do with my presentation. Basically, this is the question. Winter fly fishing, new to fly fishing, how do you be successful, particularly if you're in a, and maybe your answer won't be regardless of whether it's pressured or unpressured, but if someone came to you and they're like really struggling, what is your advice in that scenario?
Huh.
On the
That's a loaded
spot.
question.
Yeah, so on the spot. Someone comes to you, like,
especially because he said the South Platte. So let's just like talk about, I mean, that's some
Stick
of
with
the most
that.
pressured, technical tailwaters in all of Colorado. And they're not Mices fisheries.
okay,
None of them. So take that out of the question.
yep,
So I would say you need to use lighter tippet, smaller bugs
okay. That would be your very first.
immediately.
Okay, I agree.
And don't be afraid to throw a pegged egg on those lead fly.
If you have to, especially like as it
But
gets warmer.
even if you don't. Because I'm imagining he's saying he's fished Cheeseman in the Dream Stream.
or even Deckers.
Or even, Deckers or 11 Mile Canyon. But literally, almost, you can go, I mean, I guess let's not count the Dream Stream because that's a lake run fishery, so you can fish that a little bit different. But like, even then, put on a split shot no matter where you're at or what you're doing. Use straight 5X, and if you're in Cheeseman or like 11 Mile Canyon, go like 5 to 6. If I'm on the Dream, I'll go 4 to 5. And always have a split shot. Have a leech or a rubber legs or an egg as your lead fly. And always have on a size 18 to 22 purple juju, any type of juju little Betas pattern, to like a size 20 to 22 Miracle Midge, RS2, literally like Poison Tongue, any of that, any chocolate midge, and you will catch fish. And so, I mean,
Go ahead.
like target the right water too.
What are you looking for then?
I mean, that's hard because even in cheese, like if it's early in the morning, you're on Cheeseman or Deckers, find the deepest riffly water you can, but don't just go straight to like the deep non-moving hole in any of that. Like try to find something with some current that's like 3 feet deep with riffles, and I guarantee you'll catch a fish. Especially later in the day. I mean, you can find a lot, like in Cheeseman, you can fish those like 10-foot deep holes and you can hammer fish out of them. It just gets more technical. Like you got to make sure you have 2 split shot maybe and 6X tippet, and keep changing your midges because they're loaded with fish, but it gets hard to catch fish. But
Why are you using such light tippet? That
it's just
time of year?
pressured so much.
Okay.
And I think it matters. A lot of people don't, but I'll never even use 4X on Deckers, Cheeseman, 11 Mile Canyon.
Particularly in the winter, though. Why though?
Well, I mean, they're in slower moving water, so you don't have the current and the rapids and the riffles to hide your tippet as good. Like if you're fishing those deep holes, your flies are just sitting there, and they have time to inspect everything.
And it's super clear in the wintertime because the flows are much lower.
And another tip I would say too is tie your flies eyelet to eyelet. I don't do any river rig where I go eyelet to bend a hook. I think it gives it more of a natural presentation.
Does it sit sideways?
Yeah, sit sideways, lets them maybe eat it, get in their mouth easier.
Yeah. They
So
don't
that's
have
what
to
I
eat
would
the
say.
whole line. Okay. It's
Yeah.
good tips. I will tell you this. We're going to do it. It's probably not going to be today. We won't get into it. But talking about people who are fishy and how to there's people in the world that are just fishier than others. Like I've been around some of them. I've been around you. Like you've got some buddies that are just fishy people, meaning that they just seem to pick out little pieces of water. We can be fishing the same exact water, and you will put a fly 6-8 inches one way or the other from where maybe someone else would put it, and you catch fish. So there are get better at reading water is one big thing. But you have a technique that I want to bring up that you don't even know I'm going to bring up. But
Are you gonna talk about mending?
uh-huh.
the wrist flick.
Well, and what you do to an indicator line. And just by the way, we're speaking specifically about wintertime fishing, deeper runs with a bobber. Like
Whether
that's
you're
pretty much what we're
floating or
talking.
wade fishing.
Yes, either way. And this is something that I learned from him. I'll let him explain it to you, but he doesn't just mend a line after a cast. He literally mends the indicator back over the flies. Like it's actually it's a game changer, and I don't think that that's talked about a lot. So what is it exactly you do?
First off, I think a lot of I saw a video a while ago. I can't remember who posted it, but talking about people mend too much, and I think that can be the case. Especially if you don't mend so precise and good. If you are mending too much, you're not getting that natural drift and presentation. And I think there's a fine line of mending when it's needed versus just mending the crap out of it over and over and over and over. And that can depend too, getting to a better spot to where you can just high stick something better rather than mending. But the technique you're talking about, I like to take my whole rod and reel and turn it sideways and just it's almost like Harry Potter, casting a spell. I don't even know. It's like a little wrist roll flick versus just taking your whole arm and moving the line. And you can kind of keep doing that and not move the indicator at all. And that's especially good. If you're fishing swirly, weird holes or if there's a really fast run that comes in with a big boulder, like in Cheeseman that happens a lot, and you're trying to fish that line and you're fishing the faster water, but your line's caught in the slower, you can really get away with that better with that wrist flick roll.
But when do you
But
like
when
to
I
move an
like-
indicator versus not moving an
That's what I was
indicator?
about to say too. So if I'm fishing the riffly part and there's a slower part in front of me, but if I'm casting straight upstream into that run and my flies land behind my indicator and say it's a 4 or 5 foot deep hole and you got on some weight to get down, if you don't adjust, I like to flick my indicator, my bobber,
Mm-hmm.
back over my flies, because if you don't, they're just going to land and it's going to sink, but it's not going to sink immediately to get down to that zone where those fish are at during winter times. So by flicking that bobber back upstream, it lets those flies just immediately drop with no tension on that indicator so that they get into the zone. And once your indicator kind of catches up with your flies, it's hopefully not dragging your flies either. So it gives it just even more of a natural presentation. So that's another thing you can focus on is if you're fishing something with some more current in it, flick, like once your flies land, flick that indicator with a mend back up over itself, and that will really help your flies get into the zone in a more natural way.
And what he's saying to him is really, really easy. Like I watch him do it, and it's like effortless. I will tell you that it does take. There's a lot of technique to it, but honestly, once you figure it out, like it helped me. And I mean, I didn't struggle to catch fish. It's not like I couldn't catch fish.
But in those technical
But in
pressured
stuff
places,
like
it will make a difference.
And that's what I was thinking when that question was asked. I thought about your mending technique, and I don't think people understand a lot. Particularly what you said, if you're doing a long roll cast or you're doing a roll cast where it's straight upstream and there's faster water and your bobber's coming down, try to understand this. Typically, the water on top is moving faster than the water underneath.
Yeah.
So if you throw a big roll cast upstream and you want it to straighten out, obviously, like you should,
Yeah.
your flies are going to go upstream from your bobber.
Yeah.
Your bobber's immediately going to start coming back down to you. So if you only mend the line between you and the bobber, your bobber is still moving and it's dragging the flies behind it. And I don't think enough people recognize that.
How much it can drag them too.
It really does.
Sometimes your flies can only be like a foot under the surface if you have enough current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they never get down. And that's even with weight. So what I noticed from you watching you, and this was from the boat.
And it is kind of weird because if you do it too hard, you can just you'll put your rig in a ball.
And that's why I
If you
said
flick it too hard up over itself. Like,
so I guess the point is that when you roll cast and you roll cast it up there, if you're noticing that happen, immediately try to send another flick of a roll just to get that bobber to move, even if you only get it to move upstream another, or towards your flies rather, another foot. Like that gives that 12 inches for your flies to fall down and get in the zone faster.
and I especially like doing that, like when we're float fishing and there's a deep hole behind a boulder and I cast my flies into that deep hole. But like, of course, around the boulder, there's two seams that are trying to drag your flies or your indicator.
Yep.
So I like to like let my flies land right in that hole, and then I'll flick
the
bobber out of the seam to land right on top of it all, so that you can just let your flies, like as you're floating. And as soon as you get tight to it, there's a lot of the times you'll have a fish actually eat it behind that deep hole in that boulder.
It's shocking how much faster
Because if
those
not,
flies fall
your flies
straight.
land and your indicator immediately drags it out of that hole.
It rips them right out of where the fish are holding.
Which you could. That same thing goes for streamer fishing too. Like a mend in your line.
To
Like
let
you
it
cast
just
it in a hole and a mend just to let it just get down a little bit more before you start stripping it or dragging it out of
You're
the
right,
hole.
because even streamers, that current will grab your line and it'll rip the streamer out before it gets in the zone where a fish is going to eat it anyway.
And that's especially important while float fishing.
Yeah.
Faster water with streamers.
Especially with pocket waters or deeper runs where there's seams and currents you're talking about, where you're trying to fish a hole, a bucket, let's say, that's, 2 feet by 3 feet.
Yeah.
And then there's a fast seam on both sides. Like there's fish holding in that water, but if you don't get down that first 2 feet of water before it rips out of there, they're not going to eat it.
No.
Anyway, so I thought that was interesting,
Yeah,
that question.
I like it. We could, you want to get into our float on the Roaring Fork and just like basically a river report of
We
it?
can. Let's do it.
I know we had a someone who watches the podcast that would say they'd love to see something like that.
Okay.
Just a report based on our recent trips and stuff. And
Since we've been out more
where
than
it
we have
was
here
and
recently.
kinda what worked, and especially since it's really specific to our boats too. Like you're not taking drift boats down the Roaring Fork this time of year. I mean, if you got some private put-ins and can like avoid some of the spot. I mean, I don't know. Some people beat the crap out of their drift boat. We saw one. I don't know how they
Made it down.
made it down. It's skinny right now.
Yeah. So first of all, we were on the Roaring Fork this last weekend. We were actually there 2 days, once last week and then once just this last weekend. So we fished it pretty much 3 days, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
2.5.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talon.
I engaged to my now fiance on the Roaring Fork River.
It was cool.
And she was. We just put a YouTube video out of the whole thing, so you can go watch the. I mean, not of the proposal, but of
congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
You did a good job, son. Me second.
I figured it out.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's stupid. But
Anyway, first of all, congratulations. It was a good time.
it was the only time I've had her ask me to keep fishing.
Yeah.
She was hammering fish. And I was late to getting down to the spot.
We were all sitting there waiting, and I was looking at my phone, and I'm like tracking him, and I'm like, oh, dude, I know where he's at, and he's not leaving because he's fishing. So they were smoking
At
fish.
least it wasn't my fault. She was wanting to.
Well, I've had worse problems.
I've had way
in
worse
life.
problems. It was actually torture to me.
I know. I had to row down before you, and I didn't fish, so it was really torture to me.
But yeah, out of the 3 days, it was like end of winter, early spring fishing conditions.
Yeah.
What, the flows were only 230?
330.
I thought you said they were in the 200s. Last year, the average was 3 something, and this year it was right now. It was
Is that what it was?
260 or something. Yeah,
It was low. Let's just put it that way. It was lower than I've ever floated it.
super low and super clear.
So yeah. So what was your takeaway from our
We
multiple
hammered fish.
day trips?
You need to get. It is skinny though.
Yeah.
Really low, really clear, using 4X and 5X, and like a size 16, just nymph as your lead fly, jigged or not, to, size 18 midge to another size 20 midge or betas,
Yeah.
something like that. But as long as you had a darker colored midge, it really didn't matter. It was not that hard to catch fish.
No.
But
No.
it was interesting to see, like, the first float, nothing was in any water except the deep, slow runs. And then the week after, fish had started to move during the sunny, like throughout the day, we're moving into like those 2-foot riffly runs and stuff.
And I think that is what's really important about when we talk about wintertime fishing in the transition period, like
Yeah.
the shoulder season,
We watched the transition period like kind of start.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, on the first day, it was like all of the fish were in nothing but the slow, deep runs, and you'd find them and you'd catch 6 to 10 fish out of each one of those runs. And then this
and then
last
it'd be another
week,
30 minutes till you got to a good enough run to find another one.
but it warmed up to in the 50s, I guess, like 55, 56 degrees, not the water temperature, but the air temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun was out one whole day, and all of a sudden, the next day, the fish moved. They were still in the deep water, don't get me wrong, but there were fish that we caught in places we didn't catch them the week before that had moved up into, water that was 1.5 feet deep
Yeah.
in riffles.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it about the boat part, it was pretty interesting. Not to call it, there was a group of guys in a 3-man
Yeah.
boat raft.
Yeah. 3-man raft with smaller tubes.
Yeah, one of the ones that they claim, float skinny, fish is skinny.
Yeah.
And what did they tell you?
Well, they were like, man, those boats are sick. Like, I bet you can get skinny with that. And I just, talked to him, was nice, and introduced who we were and that we built them. And they just were saying how they were getting stuck all day. So it's funny because you had the 3-man out there, which people are like, oh, that's massive and heavy. But it floats just as high as the 2-man.
It was wild. Like, we were in the 3-man boat, and literally I didn't get out of the boat to push or get unstuck all day. And those 3 guys, I think that people don't recognize.
It was an approach. Sorry, it was an
Approach
approach.
120. Yeah. So I think that a lot of people from the boat standpoint. So if anyone's looking for a craft that is labeled as, float skinny or shallow water, if you have those small tubes that make the boat lightweight, you lose buoyancy because you don't have enough air to hold you shallow. So yes, that boat floats shallow when it's not loaded, but it loads down fast.
Floats skinny because it's a narrow boat, so maybe like Skinny Creek skinny,
Narrow,
but not skinny draft
water.
skinny.
No.
It's funny because it's just not.
Keep that in mind. Like, buoyancy is different than floating skinny. You can take a beach ball and it floats in skinny water, but if you jump on top of it, you sink
dude.
it. So
Great way to put that.
So buoyancy matters.
Yeah.
So we got really skinny and we were successful and we floated stuff that no one else was. And then the splitting rocks thing was huge for me because by the end of the day, like, when you're going through picky water, you're picking your way and you get exhausted by the time the day's over. So you can just split rocks and not worry about avoiding everything.
Floating that river right now on a raft or a drift boat gives me anxiety.
I know.
And just like, ugh.
It makes me exhausted
Because you'll
thinking
get stuck
about it.
all day.
Yeah, you're fighting it.
And I mean, there were spots too where we had to like get out because there's just some spots right now where it's like there's no route down.
Just no water.
But you'll be stuck all. I mean, yeah, I watched immediately after they said that to me. They got stuck on like a middle bar area, and I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
So it is
so
funny.
that was interesting. But yeah, that's the Roaring Fork.
Fishing is great. It's only going to get better.
Yeah,
But I mean, get your fishing in now. If we don't get more snow, there's not going to be that much fishable water
no,
middle and end of summer.
no. But the Roaring Fork did fish really well, and
Yeah.
there was nothing but. I mean, we saw a couple blue wings popping, so there
But
wasn't
so many midges
so many
started
midges
coming
and bigger midges, like
Yeah.
16 and 18 midges. It wasn't all just
Yep.
20s and 22s.
Yeah.
At least from the adults that we saw swimming, flying and swimming, whatever.
You want to talk about real quick before we leave the subject of how important it is to pay attention to what your oars are doing when you're floating
Yeah.
really skinny low water?
Yeah, so I think that there's a huge misconception in the rowing world that the deeper you put your oars, the more pull you have. That's not true at all. As soon as your oars are in the water, putting them deeper doesn't give you more pull. And I think that it's a huge mental block for people, particularly when you first start rowing, is that you feel like, oh gosh, I got to move, and you just start digging those oars deeper and deeper. And I'm here to tell you that's a good way to break your equipment and hurt yourself
And lose an oar.
and lose an oar. So practice rowing shallow. Even if you're in deep water, don't dig your oars in, because when it gets skinny and it gets technical and you're trying to move around, you miss an oar stroke because you ram that thing down too tight, and you'll either miss the oar stroke and you won't be able to make the move that you're trying to make,
Yep.
or you're going to ram it down in the rocks, get it stuck, and that thing's going to shoot back out at you and hit you in the jugular or hit someone next to you. So row shallow. That's PSA for rowing for the day is row shallow even when you're in deep water.
Yeah. And always just be aware of what, like each time you row, like where those oars are going.
Yeah.
Especially if you get turned sideways.
Especially if you're turned sideways.
To know if you even have a move.
Yeah.
Because some of the spots we had to row, like you get in the slot and there's just really nothing to do after. Like you just got to ride it out.
Until you get to some water you can row.
Or else you'll just be bumping your way down. Like,
You just be
yeah.
grinding on rocks.
Yep.
Yeah. Important.
Well, that's our
That's our
Weekly
rowing tip
report.
of the day.
weekly report.
Yeah.
Fishing report. 5 stars.
It was good. I don't even know how many fish we caught the first time
I
we
don't
floated.
either.
It was a lot.
All right. This was your idea.
Yeah, so we're getting into this now. So this is the main part of what we want to talk about. So we were talking about, we both individually, we don't know what each other has written, wanted to come up with a list of 5 things that would help or need to change to improve fly fishing in the state of Colorado. And we're only saying particularly Colorado because, number one, we live here, we manufacture here, we fish here more than anywhere else. And some of the things we've already put in here are already being done in other states. So this is a Colorado-specific list of
Yep.
things that we would do or change or would like to see change that we think would help the overall fly fishing community, but potentially fishing in general.
Yeah.
And we're cold water specific is really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trout.
So, do you want to start? You want me to start? All right. So I'm going to ask you the question: if you could change 5 things, what would your? I'll start with. Do you have them in order?
I do.
You want to do your most important first, then?
You want me to?
Yeah, because maybe your most important dictates some of the other ones.
Well, I think my most important then
Okay.
is high water mark law. That needs to change.
That was my number one.
Was it?
So
That's
talk about
funny.
why. Tell me what high water mark is, number one, and why does it need to change?
There's so many reasons it needs to change. It actually is going to lead me into another one of my reasons.
I know.
Is it pellet heads in the lower Blue River?
No, but
Oh.
that's a good one. Okay. I like that. So you
high
start-
water mark law needs to change. Because,
What is it?
Well, high water mark law, we don't have it here in Colorado. So technically, any landowner owns the river bottom, which we saw a video, and the video was trying to claim they even own the river. Like, but I don't think that's really true.
No, they don't own the water.
So they own the river bottom, meaning you can't wade, fish any private water.
Or get out of a boat
get
or
out.
anchor.
But high water mark, if it was like in Montana and
Idaho,
you can access the river from any public spot and walk up into or downstream into any private property as long as you are below the high water mark. And that's just like anywhere up in the rocks where the color changes or where the weeds stop growing. Like it's pretty easy to tell what the high water mark is. But yeah, there's so many reasons it needs to change. I mean, you would think Colorado, with how our state politically is, that this would be a thing.
Potentially,
and I'm kind of surprised that it almost seems backwards to me, like in a state like Montana
or Idaho,
that it like policy wise, you would think it would be more of a, I won't even get into that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's just so much fishing pressure in Colorado. It would help with fishing pressure. It would allow in places like the lower Blue River to revive fish correctly when you're floating through. It would also stop people from having anywhere that is pellet heads, because if people can walk up into their private land where they're stocking pellet heads like the lower Blue, why would they do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what my next one was, stop the love of pellet heads, basically. Like, I think you shouldn't be able to feed fish in a river system.
I agree. The river system part.
Let's stay on
is
high
key.
water mark. What was your?
The only thing that I wanted to say about high water mark is that the reason that it has not been instituted in Colorado is because it has to do with navigability and the government or the state actually defining what are navigable rivers, because it is already federal law that anything that was navigable or that is navigable for commerce or traffic all the way back through, before time.
You can float through. Or
you can
whatever.
use that waterway
for the trade reasons.
Yes,
That's why it
exactly.
used to exist.
The difference is Colorado has never actually defined what rivers were or were not navigable, and hence the reason there is no high water mark law. If they define navigability, then there would be instituted high water mark. So that's all I was going to say. But I do agree with you. That's the number one thing issue that I would have, because right now in the state of Colorado, we do not have the places to fish. The rivers are not increasing. We're not getting more water.
Yep.
We are only getting less by proxy of having more people fishing. So if you instituted high water mark, it would spread out the fishing pressure.
And not like a ton, but definitely it would help.
It would help.
Yeah.
So that would be my number one also. All right.
And especially just like floating, and you can't drop anchor. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, you can't pull you can't pull over to revive a fish.
Can't pull
or
over to
eat lunch or
take
pee.
a crap.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. So that would be number one to me too.
Which maybe that's why people don't want people crapping on their land.
Well, and to be honest with you, like if you go through a national park, you can't anyway. So take a groover like people do, or whatever you have to do. Like there are ways to handle your waste.
Exactly. What's your next one?
My number two, which might be different than yours, is, and this could be done just through CPW, and this is mine. Designate and manage and define what waterways, whether it's rivers or lakes, are true put and take fisheries where people keep fish to eat. I have no problem if you want to keep fish to eat, versus trophy fisheries and self-sustaining wild populations. I didn't say native fish, so I don't want to get into native cutthroats and, that all rainbows and browns are bad. I'm not getting into that. If you have wild populations of self-sustaining fish, they should be treated differently than the local pond at Clement, the Stalker Pond. Yeah. And I think that the problem is that this, for me, is a problem because we have bodies of water that produce trophy-sized fish, and there's not a definition that population. I'm just going to use Antero or other even rivers, even the Dream Stream. we as particularly fly fishing anglers feel like a lot of people feel like it's their responsibility to educate the public about don't fish reds, conservation, like all of these type of things.
But the state doesn't at all.
The state doesn't at all, and that's the thing that bothers me.
Maybe not at all.
Well,
but it's not it's not regulations and like stuff like that. Is that your point?
That's my point. Is that it feels like by the state not telling people that, hey, this is a wild fishery, this is a self-sustaining population of, rainbows or browns, and that they are actually reproducing. So I would ask that the state, if you know you're trying to protect the fishery, then protect the fishery. Yeah. Don't make it ambiguous, and don't make it up to guides and us to do self-policing, okay? If you really want to protect the fishery, then protect it.
So have more regulations and statistics to know if places have wild, like self-sustaining, I'll say self-sustaining, not wild, like populations of fish.
Yeah.
And then protect it better.
Yeah.
Which is basically Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. That's what my number 2 is, because I feel like there's so much conflict and so much animosity and anger where you got some people feeling like they're the gatekeeper and that they're the stewards. And I'm not even saying that what they're saying is wrong by trying to educate people, but it turns into a fight. And then you got all these people out there and I'm not for super regulations. I'm not saying everything should be regulated. I'm just saying that
there needs to be more, because how many people there are that do it now.
Yeah.
Which is what Montana has done. And apparently they only have one river that they stock in the entire state.
Yeah. Everything else is not stocked. So they've done a good job with those those closures. For me, close the whole Dream Stream in the fall and the spring. I don't care.
Uh-huh.
If it is a self-sustaining population. But and on the other hand, but if CPW knows that there is almost no natural reproduction in that river, if they have that data, which I
highly doubt that, though.
I do too.
I mean, I think they reproduce.
Well, particularly because there's brown trout in 11 Mile, and I don't think
stocking sterile cut bows.
No.
Yeah.
So tell us what you should or shouldn't do so that it's not up to everyone to walk around and get mad at people.
Well, that leads me into my third and my fourth. So that's not my second, but that's basically. So my third was end the red argument. So just shut down certain spots. Like maybe not the entire Dream Stream, but go to like known gravel spots and just from this sign to this sign, this is closed to fishing from this date to this date.
I agree.
And do that across the board in all kinds of places where it's necessary. If we have like in places where it feels like we've seen like fisheries declining.
Yeah.
And on designated gold medal and catch and release or like trophy, like places that are designated to grow large fish, to make it no trebles at all, single hook, barbless, and even maybe a 2-fly rig max, like on places like the Frying Pan or like small water that just get wrecked and wrecked and wrecked. Do you know what I mean? That would help the catch and release portion a lot, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. I mean, if you're going to a put and take place, fish whatever trebles you want. If you know that you're just taking fish and they're going to put in another 100,000 rainbows to go take and eat, whatever. Yeah. Don't care. But if it's a trophy fishery with a self-sustaining population, there's no reason anyone should be using treble hooks.
No.
So I agree with that. In fact, that was pretty much my 3 and 4 was that
was my 3 and 4
was ban treble hooks in all cold water fisheries, 2-fly max and a 2-hook max.
All trophy cold water fisheries
or wild or self-sustaining populations. Yep. That was 3 and 4. Yeah.
My second, because I didn't talk about it at all, but my number 2, going back to trophy fisheries and gold medal water, is figure out how to keep Spinney full. Because it's crazy. I mean, it was known as like the best still water in the state, and is from CPW seems like it's supposed to be managed like that. Yet
as a trophy fishery?
Yet we keep Ontario completely full, which is a spot they've completely drained and wiped out the whole population of fish and then stocked the crap out of it. But Spinney has supposed to be managed better.
as a trophy
as
fishery.
a trophy fishery, yet it's like 45% full right now. I mean, the fishing has declined just because of that, I think, too. So figure it out.
And honestly,
But like
it
at
has to do
least
with
70
water
to 80.
rights, though.
I know that's what sucks.
Yeah, because Antero has
Denver
Denver water.
And Spinney's Aurora water.
Yeah, so you've got people pushing water into one from the other, and then they're fighting over water. So I just think that, to your point, that's a great point. But there needs to be a better hand-in-hand commitment between the water usage
And CPW.
and CPW.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Because it seems like there's not. Which I get, like, in especially, dude, after this year, it's going to be bad. Like, we don't got snow. And I know people need water.
I know exactly.
So
So there is a
like,
balance,
but it sucks for Spinney. I mean, a low water year every time it opens is just not great for it.
Yeah, it's at 40% right now or something.
Yeah, it's
Less than half
sucks.
a capacity, so it's low.
Yep. What was your next one?
We already did number 5 because it was your number 2. Institute full closures of fishing if there is wild natural reproduction.
Okay.
If people can't leave the reds alone,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes me feel bad about that is that here's what I can picture: people that don't really know what they're doing. They hear about this place to go fish. You got a dad who takes his son or daughter out there who's 8 or 9 years old. They see fish swimming. They're like, oh, we found them.
Yeah.
They just want to catch a fish,
Yep.
right? And then they start fishing, and then all of a sudden you have some salty guide or
Who just ruins their day.
who ruins their day
But then
in a way where the guide might only be trying to protect the resource, which is great, but it's putting him in a situation where he has to tell,
and get himself involved.
yeah. And the public didn't know any better. So
Yeah.
to your point, like, use signs and say this is a spawning area, and it's put closures up,
Yep.
and then it'll keep people from having to have that interaction.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not for regulation, but with how many people fish in Colorado now, we need to be more like Montana and add more regulations, or else places won't be sustainable.
Yeah, because the water's not in
especially with catch and release.
exactly.
Because I do get keeping a fish. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
Because that can almost, like, if there's people that just keep a fish, and then they just leave. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They could almost be putting less pressure on it than like hammering 10 to 20 like fish.
Yeah, I agree.
So catch and release has its time and place. So does keeping fish, especially if it helps those fish, like the quality of fish, stay higher by keeping one because of the biomass.
Exactly.
But I just think, there needs to be more of that data and stuff figured out by like the biologists and scientists to manage places better. It'd be cool to see that happen.
And make that public. Like, have a forum where it's always posted so you can see what the natural reproduction rate is. I mean, if there's data out there to show what's sustaining and what's not, and it needs to be put out there to the public so people understand if there is a regulation that comes down, here's the data to back up why we did this closure or this limitation or this slot limit on a fish.
Exactly.
And they don't just put it out there. And
Yeah.
because right now it's either closed or it's not closed, and then no one knows why. There's no information. The data's not out there.
because maybe this is already happening, but we just don't know. Like,
And trying to sort your way through the CPW website to try to find this kind of stuff.
yeah.
I mean, you need an abacus to do it. One more thing about.
Well, I have my last
Oh
one.
yeah, go ahead. You have 5 now.
Yeah, my last one's
okay.
just the lower Blue River.
Go ahead.
Don't permit it. Ban all pellet heads in river systems. Like private ponds, sure, do whatever you want. But like in a river that, is a headwater to the Colorado, like, don't pellet feed in there.
I agree, and that goes for every place. That goes for.
Which it was fun while it lasted. But like, it's gotten us to this point where we're going to lose access because of the pellet heads.
Exactly.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it and don't permit the dang thing.
Yeah. And then let the river do what the river's going to do.
Stop blaming the public that it's declining because of us when those fish never existed in that, way.
Yeah.
Ever.
Exactly. And additionally, if someone's going to change the river, you should have to have a permit and you should have to have biological backup as to how it's going to benefit the fishery or the flow, or, you know, because those side channels and stuff that get dug by people privately should have to have a full public permit and have it be very transparent regarding how it's going to happen and why they're able to do it.
But then it's funny because once that happens, it'd be interesting to see what would happen to Boxwood Gulch and all of those places like that.
Well, it is what it is.
Because I don't think those really exist in Montana. Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, maybe
but I
on
don't
big,
think they should. Maybe like,
and who knows what they do? Like if you got a 10,000 acre ranch in Montana that a river. I mean, people may not get to the center of it. They might have some spots that they do that we don't know about. But
yeah, if high water mark law, I mean, still do it, but no people are the public are gonna be accessing it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Hey, speaking of that, there's one that I didn't put down, but I do think that this has been addressed through like kayakers and stuff, but no landowner should be able to put an obstruction, a man-made obstruction
across the river.
Across the river. That means a bridge. You should be able to
fence,
float.
you mean?
Yeah, no fence, and no, I even mean a bridge that's too low.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't. It shouldn't matter if it is a waterway. If it's a moving waterway, you cannot put an obstruction to stop
people
to float, so people can't pass legally.
Agreed. Should be illegal.
Exactly.
Yep.
So now I have one more question for you. It kind of goes along with all this. It's kind of like touched on, but I'm just going to use something like, I'll just use the Miracle Mile, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, in Wyoming. At certain times of the year, there are lake run fish, and most of the lake, 99% of the lake run fish in that fishery that are in there during those times of the year are there to do one thing. That's to spawn. Okay? Mm-hmm. There's this huge claim, and this is going to be controversial, so I want you to tell me what you think. Every fish in that river is in some version of spawning. They're either coming up to pre-spawn, or are on the reds, or they've moved off, or whatever the case is. And everyone talks about, well, I was targeting the fish in the deep hole behind the red, or in front of the red, or whatever. Okay? Yeah. If you've ever caught a fish during that time of year, even if it's in the deep hole behind it, have you ever had a hen squirt eggs all over as soon as you catch her?
Yeah.
The reason they do that is because they are trying to abort their young in hopes that they will live. So did you disrupt that spawning even though you fished behind the red in the deep water?
To some extent, probably, yeah.
Okay. So while I'm not sitting here fighting for the ethics and saying it's okay to rape a red, I also don't think that people who claim that they are being ethical by fishing the deep water
completely right.
Is completely,
off the hook.
Yeah. I don't, you are disrupting spawning.
That's why I think they close like certain places in Montana for like the whole time.
Right.
You can't fish whole sections.
You hit my point. You know what I mean? You hit the nail on the head, because we have so many people in Colorado.
Because when you're fishing, you're disrupting the fish no matter what time of year it is. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're helping them by hooking them and reeling them in. And
so you're right. Like, I don't want to get to the point where we're like, well, everything we do disrupts the fish.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden you're PETA and you're banning fishing.
Exactly. But I also don't like the people that pat themselves on the back and put a hood over their head as though that they are the saviors of fish. They're hammering fish in the deep pool, and every hen that they catch over there squirting eggs out, they just disrupted spawning just like you ripped it off of the red.
During some circumstances, I definitely agree with that.
So I just think that it's a little bit
like
disingenuous.
I'm so high and mighty.
Yes.
I don't fish spawners on reds, but I fish the crap out of October, November, March, April.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just don't like the high horse part of it, where they think that they are the ethical ones, and that, oh, well, I caught these 3 fish behind the red.
Yeah.
And then they're over there starting a fight with someone who's fishing on the red. And again, I'm not sitting here saying
that there's right or wrong to
that you should fish the red. I'm not saying that. Just
or
don't
that you
tell me
shouldn't fish at all.
Yeah.
But I think, like, you got to know the spot, know how much pressure it can handle. Do your part to not just, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's a massive gray area, and I think everyone can like wander through it a little bit better.
I agree.
You know,
I agree. I mean,
until the state shuts down certain spots.
exactly. And that was kind of what my point was with my number 2 was
Which
like
they have
some of
few.
them. Yeah. Well, when you float
Like a
the
few
Colorado up
creeks
and
and
down the
stuff.
Colorado, there's all kinds of closures.
Yeah.
Where the mouth 100 feet up and downstream from the mouth is closed from a period of time. So it's been done.
Yeah. But like still waters, nothing has been done in certain gravelly spots, which maybe it doesn't have to if they stock that many in there anyway.
But that's why it should be designated that, hey, this is, I just want to know, like, I really truly want someone to tell me, do the fish in Spinney or Antero, whether
Or
it's
Delaney.
the Browns or Rainbows or Delaney, do those fish have any successful spawning in the lake? Just
Yeah.
tell me. I want to know. Like, is there data that says they are successful or they're not?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then don't worry about fishing. Do whatever you want
Yeah. In the lake.
in the lake. But if they do, then there should be, if there is successful spawning in those lakes, there should be places that are closed down. And I just want that data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
That was our rant.
We're ranting a little bit.
Sorry, I kind of
You're yelling at me over here.
I didn't mean to yell. I apologize. I feel angry now. Jeez.
Well, thanks for watching episode 10. Let us know if you'd like us to talk about anything else.
Or disagree with us in the comments. Love to hear it. Or agree with us, one or the other.
No, just disagree with us.
Yeah,
we
don't
want to
agree.
fight with everybody.
We're looking for a fight.
Thanks for watching.
See you later.
It's a muskrat. It's swimming. Oh, yeah, there we go. In my back end.
This is the TFC. This is the TFC.
This is the TFC Riffles and Rants podcast.